us, the casters. We come out on top. Vedius.
Yes, mate.
Welcome to the TriCast. If you don't shake it, I'll never speak to you again.
Thank you very much.
That's close enough. We take that. Dagda, we already know you're
I kind of want to do this, though, as well. Where is it? If you do the handshake and the little pump thing.
Like a thumb touch.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. We're a TriCast with a lot of personalities, a lot of energy, and a lot of different vibes right now. I look like a pond mixed in with milk, you know? And that's me. That's my outfit. You guys look like businessmen.
Mint ice cream I can see, but where's the pond with the milk?
I'm glad that when we think of things, we go to a normal place.
For me, you know,
clearly in Australia, there's a lot of ponds with milk.
I see.
And you don't know.
I see.
That just
if
exists.
someone has milk and it's soured a little bit and it's spilt in water, this is the colour.
You've got saltwater crocodiles, freshwater crocodiles, and milky pond water crocodiles.
The milker crocodiles, they're the most dangerous as well. They steal your lunch money as well. We're waiting for G2 versus Fnatic, as Ginny said, and thank you to the desk. We can't get as hyped up for this one just yet because there are some delays. There are some issues ponding us and holding us back. You see what I did there? But I am excited to be casting this one with you guys because G2 Fnatic always delivers. I just wish it was a best of 5 that we get a little bit more of. You know?
I mean, this is the appetizer. You know, we got a taster of the Fearless over the weekend, and so far it's just been 2-0s across the board.
It has.
Our anticipation is today we're going to get the best of 3 element of this series. That's what we're hoping for. We get to see a little bit more adaptation. These players getting to go deeper into their pools of champions. The question is, will they actually do it? Because when I look at these two teams play, I think that Fnatic demonstrated a very clean game. I think overall, G2 demonstrated a clean game. You could argue that maybe the Warwick game was a little messy at times, but like I really feel you're kind of nitpicking. Ultimately, we have 2 of the best teams or performing teams based on what we've seen playing up against each other today.
Yeah, and I think it's the fact that we got to see these unusual drafts from G2 that actually fills me with a lot more confidence for them today. Because one of the biggest gripes I had with them was they didn't look like they could kind of play anything outside of, hey, tank for BB, let's go for regular control mage in mid lane and we'll just play for team fights and win through team fights. The fact that they're playing these kind of pick style comps now with the Warwick Pantheon and playing a lot of different styles says to me that G2 have kind of found their footing and look much more potent now coming into a series.
I remember this conversation because again you were like, yo, G2, go back to what's simple. Week 2, week 3 it was as well. And there was this conversation amongst us that was like, yo, G2, like after week 1, of course, what did G2 look like? Is this G2 now going to take too long to adapt and adjust? But then we get right back to playoffs and we're like, wait, you know, G2 are just kind of doing the same old thing, just with different elements.
Yeah, and I think especially for a team like Fnatic for me have been one of the teams that I trust the most with playing a lot of different styles. Like, we've seen them play the poke style, they look really, really good. Sure. We've seen them play team fights, they look great. They've been able to bring out some other stuff in the past as well. So I think this is a squad where you're like, oh, I know they were talking on the desk about being a bit worried and fearless. In a best of 3, I'm not worried about them. I think they'll be completely fine. I think it's more on G2 to try and upset the apple cart, which was a lot of what we saw. Don't worry, I didn't mention a pond. But I think a lot of it is kind of coming back to like, hey, look, in summer, in season finals 2024, a lot of people were like, well, Fnatic look better. Yep. They just weren't able to put in the performance that needed to get them across the line. Like, they won these kind of round 2s, round 3s, but couldn't get it across the line when it came to the actual finals. So that's where I'm curious to see what happens.
I mean, the desk has made valid points. You've made valid points. The only thing I genuinely care about is
Jake's opinion.
As much as I wish that was true, it is unfortunately not.
At least he's honest.
Mickey and Broken Play. The rivalry, the heated discussion that we had from the interview earlier, I genuinely just care about the fact that these 2 players still have a great relationship with one another, but on the Rift, all bets are off. Like, they're going to be in the psyche of one another, the draft. Both players know exactly how they're going to be playing. When you see that weird, I don't know, Karma 4th lock-in, he's going to be like, yeah, no, that's jungle for sure. Like, Mickey's just going to know that, right? And I think that having that experience and getting to see this version of G2 versus Fnatic is something we've been longing for. Unfortunately, we don't have to wait any longer as the players make their way to the stage.
Thank you for bearing with us, guys. We know there's a bit of a delay, but it'll be worth it once you get into the game. As G2 versus Fnatic with a new spin. Vedius set you up. It's that support versus top. That is this new rivalry. Built up of the fact that I think both of them are great poo-talkers, right? Without trying not to swear there. But you know what I'm talking about? They're both great with the mic as well. So when these 2 personalities go head-to-head, expect them to face each up against each other and have a little bit more to say in what is probably going to be lane swap.
I mean, a lot of exciting matchups ahead of us. We have to remember that Caps, he's still the player to beat when it comes to winning LEC titles. Very few have been able to do it, and Humanoid over his many years, has been able to find those victories, especially when he was alongside Mad Lions, but alongside the Fnatic roster, he's always fallen short when going up against the Titan that is Caps in the mid lane. I'm wondering what we'll see in the mid lane matchup. Fnatic have put a heavy priority on banning the Mel away, but we know that in the G2 series, they were happy to pick that up. So we'll see how things pan out as we get into, I'd say pick that up. I mean, like, who did they play against? Why have I completely blanked? This happened 2 days ago. G2.
G2 Heretics, wasn't it?
Heretics, yeah.
Are you talking about in the first round, Giants?
No, G2 actually just left.
Giants
They actually left
yeah.
the Mel completely unbanned in their series, and Fnatic consistently chose to ban it away. So I'm curious as to where that priority is going to fall through.
Yeah, I am curious as well, but I think, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Skarner could be taken away. I think you could potentially see the Mel ban come through. I think she is quite strong.
Yeah.
And you've got the flexibility on both sides to really bring it out to the forefront, but we'll have to see. Again, this is, in my mind, Fnatic favored coming into this series, which is interesting when G2 have been kind of picking up pace over time.
True.
But now they really get to show how much they've grown over the course of the split.
We've seen Ambessa and Vi be a priority combo for Fnatic. The Kai'Sa being taken away removes some of that dive element to allow Upset to follow up. The Ambessa is going to be the ban from Fnatic, so that Mel is available. The question is, what will the first pick be?
I think it's interesting to see the Kai'Sa banned away, because I thought they'd just go for the Vi ban instead. Because Kai'Sa has kind of been enabled by the Vi in a lot of situations, especially with the Ambessa as well. So this says to me they're just going to go for the Maokai pick up here and be completely fine, whereas you've kind of taken a lot of the power picks away from that Vi in both the Ambessa and the Kai'Sa being gone.
I think I also like it because taking power picks away from people like Upset, as Vi is still going to be picked regardless, is Fnatic's protocol now on the other side of G2. What's the angle here? Priority supports like Rel is still up, junglers here as well to match.
G2 have a lot of options right now. Ezreal is kind of... You've got to bear in mind how, with so much dive already coming out on the side of Fnatic, that single target lockdown, you're right in terms of some of the components alongside it that have been removed. But G2 have already showcased that they're willing to play the Pantheon to great effect when piloted by SewMond, so he's going to look to try and match him in the early game. That global tool to match on the side lanes, the early skirmishing power that a Pantheon does provide. Cheeky hover of the Nunu from SewMond. I wonder if the AD carry is going to be locked in alongside it, and the Ezreal that we were just talking about.
Yeah, I think you just take the AD carry. I imagine G2 are basically just trying to leave their last pick until Broken Blade. You, in theory, could keep the Pantheon flex open. We've seen in support, we've seen in the jungle, but I think the value here is not taking a tank early for Broken Blade, so then you don't get the Maokai top as an answer into it, or even go for the Maokai. Yeah, there's the Mel taken. So Corki could easily be going mid, to be perfectly honest.
Like, double flex.
Yeah, you can still flex these around, so it's not the end of the world, but I would rather see Corki mid and the Mel bot lane just to put some pressure on towards this Ezreal and just try and keep him out of lane.
About 200 people right now.
The Leona lock-in from G2, kind of solidifying their front line and their engage. The Mel, though, we're expecting this to go into the mid lane, but of course it can be flexed. They could put the Corki into mid and they could send the Mel down bot. When we did see the Mel in the bot lane so far this weekend, it didn't really pan out that effectively, especially when they chose to lane swap it. But I imagine that a mage is likely going to be the response from Caps. Azir is, of course, still available. Ezreal and Azir is a long-time pro player staple and favorite, given its safety, range, and great scaling.
Just taking off the board there. I'm wondering if it'll be something like the Braum ban here on the last rotation as well, just because you've already got decent engage coming through with the Vi, so having something that can play a bit more defensive works out relatively fine, and if you've already got the Leona, it can be a bit of an issue.
Rakan might also be a consideration.
Yeah, but I think either way, you're kind of fine here. I think the main issue that I have is for G2, like, what are you trying to play with here? Like, yes, you can go for a bit of a staple control mage, but I think it's, you have some dive, but how do you round it out when so many of them taken off the board?
I will say there's one pick that in the East is usually picked in Game 2 and Game 3 Fearless. Rumble is still up and available here. Now we're on 15-3. Just keep that in the back of your mind when Galio's taken away one of the biggest matchups into it to neutralize the lane.
There is a possibility, but when you look at Oscar and Broken Blade as players, Rumble isn't often what they default to. They're more of the bruiser-style frontliner skirmishers.
Yeah, they are.
They like having that agency. when it comes to the melee AD type of playstyle, but of course, we know them to both be versatile individuals. G2 is likely going to be able to get the counter pick on top side, as right now they're figuring out what they lock in for camps.
Yeah, it just feels like Fnatic are probably angling for a K'Sante on the top side for Oscarinin. Completely fine, blindable, you're no real issues.
Aurora.
That is a flex pick still for G2 as well, with the Aurora locked in, so could go towards caps, could also go into that top side if you end up going for the K'Sante, so you've definitely got options here as G2, and I think that's kind of been the struggle for Fnatic in a lot of this draft, is just how flexible this draft has been. But I think if you end up going for a tank, it's not the end of the world for Fnatic, it's just Broken Blade can opt in towards a lot of these funky matchups, and again, that feels like what they're going for.
Great word for it. Funky matchups, that's what Broken Blade's given us so far. Let's not forget the Warwick game. Now into K'Sante, that sounds horrible, as Poppy support is going to be locked in here.
I mean, it's definitely a favorite of Mikyx.
He loves Halo Blades on it, that's for sure.
I mean, he made it work with great effectiveness last year at MSI internationally, during a lot of bans. The Swain gonna come through from Broken Blade in the top lane. There was rumblings about the Swain at the beginning of the year. We've seen a number of changes to the champion over the years, but I think that against a champion like K'Sante, it becomes a pretty free lane where you're able to get plenty of stacks and you're able to kind of scale through into the late game, become this very effective drain tank and difficult to get through if you don't quite have the DPS. But in a meta of lane swaps, how is this Swain going to fare?
That's a really good point. Again, K'Sante is one of the best lane swapping champions. The reason why he is still first pickable in regions globally. So for Fnatic, I look at that and I say, that's a strong meta draft. That's a strong lane swap draft, Vedius, to hit on your point ever so well.
We'll see how things pan out. G2 keeping things creative on the top side of the map. Broken Blade always has a number of picks prepared for us, and while career-wide it's not something we often get to see, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring out today. You kind of look at G2's composition, they have a lot of team fight power.
Oh yeah.
Their front line is tankier than you probably expect with this Leona and Swain. And Fnatic going to be bringing out their first Mel of the year as the two fan bases rather are battling it out in the arena.
Definitely not crap, are they? I mean, they're heightening. Fnatic out here in fourths, and when you're in this top side of the bracket, that gives you a direct run to the best of fives, to what we used to call the upper grand final. This match matters so much. A best of three between legends, kings, dynasty warriors. It's all there. It's all there in the pudding. And let's once again enjoy another G2 Fnatic for the fans.
I was trying to remember where I saw Broken Blade's Swain before, and it was back season finals 2023.
Oh yeah.
Where they played against Mad Lions and ended up beating them, and it was, I'm pretty sure Broken Blade had popped off that game as well. You're looking at the stats over there, but I'm pretty sure he had a phenomenal game on us. So interesting to see now. It was into the Renekton back then, but into the K'Sante this time. You still get a ton of time to scale. Become an absolute nuisance later on. And you've got the only issue that I have for you is this time Mel exists, which he did back in the game, and Mel constantly gets to stack up more and more damage onto you. So yes, you get to heal, but that threshold is forever expanding when Mel can just execute you. So I think you have to be a little bit more careful as Broken Blade in this one. The Mel doesn't get the immediate just pop on you at some stage.
Now it is important to remind people that, oh, hang on a second, Razork.
How much do you want to hang on? Razork just gets poked out. Vedius,
is this the delayed invade coming out from G2? It's certainly looking like it.
Maybe. SewMond has his flash available. What is the start here is my only question. Is it is okay. Comet Spear starts here on the Raptors, means that G2 are going to have this Pantheon now vertical jungling.
Well, G2, I mean, they very much anticipated the swap. Why wouldn't you? In a meta where lane swapping can be so effective, Fnatic want to try and put this Swain behind. It will slow Razork's cleared down. He's also going to lose a lot of HP. Already forced to pop the pot, but that's not going to hurt him too much as Broken Blade doing his best now to get farm. Want to remind people that Swain did get buffed on the most recent patch. Get a few extra soul fragments along with the AP ratio on his never move being increased. Likely the reason why we're seeing Broken Blade bring out the champion.
This is an interesting move from G2 though. Labrov has reset, gone towards topside, because the thing I was going to say is Broken Blade does not survive a potential turret dive, so instead they're just going to make sure that BD can farm safely underneath the turret. Even looking at where SewMond's gone as well, he's taken the bot side camps and now immediately gone towards this top side. So G2 kind of throwing in a wrench to the works of what is your bog standard we've seen in lane swaps, and I think it's going to work out really well for them in this position.
Means also the Leona gets an extra couple of levels here as well to facilitate, so a point worth mentioning again, seeing how the wave crashes into the top side is, Vedius, I know you're also concerned with how Broken Blade is going to handle the lane swaps. This also makes things a little bit easier when we had those concerns.
Keep your eyes on Razork, already making his way up, has gotten level 3. Of course, this would be a 2 versus 3, but I think their game plan is to move into the enemy jungle. They want to create some chaos for SewMond. Good pathing from SewMond as he's been able to secure both his Raptors and the red buff. Oscar finding a nice trade onto Hansama.
We get some back a little bit though, as well as Lethal Tempo starts showing its guns here for Hansama.
But you're completely in a mess here as Fnatic in the early stages. So you went for the invade, you don't find your red buff, you don't get the Krugs, you're immediately trying to now move in towards this bottom side. They're going to push in with Humanoid and hope that he can support Razork on getting something, but look at where SewMond is on the map. He's already reset, making his way into this bot side jungle, and you've got push for Hansama. So actually trying to contest any of these spawns on the bottom side is going to be pretty difficult at the moment. So for SewMond, you just get off to a fantastic start and overtake Razork when it comes to experience and camps.
Gonna poke out and just see now as well. Control Ward spots that Scuttle, shifting its gear into the middle of river. So he knows that Razork's spot. And the information for G2, I believe, was just scouted out thanks to that ward.
The adaptation from Razork, I think, is solid though, securing the bot crab and then moving towards Krugs. Afterwards, he can reset, make his way back out to top, maybe even secure that other set, the other Scuttle Crab as well. The problem is SewMond already on those Raptor respawns and he has the level advantage. The reset has come in from Humanoids. The smite is going to be crucial and it's going to come through. SewMond not giving Razork the opportunity.
And I think they cut, oh, hang on, Mickey mid.
He's going to be rooted up. Caps might be in trouble, waiting for the W to come off as Caps just walks it out, holds onto the summoner. Good resilience from the mid laner of G2.
So I was going to say, I think Fnatic kind of were reading what Vedi was talking about, where, hey, they're probably going to try and look for the second Scuttle Crab on top side. So Mikyx starts to roam down, but doesn't actually end up spotting them. So they knew he was going to be on Raptors, and now Labrov trying to answer for the pressure that Mikyx put in mid. So the reflect, going to be a bit frustrating there.
At least he can't pull it. No, he can pull it back again. No, it's like, at least Mel can't just press it again, right? Unfortunate. Humanoid, bit of a long cooldown, about 34 seconds at level 1, by the way, guys. So that is the balanced part of Mel in the early lane.
I was going to say that this matchup probably isn't very fun. Oh, hang on.
Definitely not.
This matchup probably isn't very fun for the Aurora because there's just a bit of a range difference in the early levels. Humanoid can just poke from so far away with his Q. The only counterpoint is that Mel just burns through her mana so quickly, constantly harassing her lane opponent. And credit to Caps, he's done a good job of keeping a very small CS lead, which is going to be equalized once Humanoid catches this wave, but it looks like he's trying to...
Mickey! Right under turret! One more shot denied! A Zenith Blade taken. Mickey still rooted up and a shield of Durand as Labrov looks to pop that sunlight, but he's going to give the kill over to SewMond. Mickey decided to make it personal.
That definitely felt a little bit personal. Because, like, in the grand scheme of things, it's nice to get the kill onto Caps. It'll delay him getting back into lane, but it doesn't really change the game a huge amount. Giving SewMond an extra kill, though, is pretty nice for SewMond, who was already off to a great start. So he's going to use that advantage now, start to snowball off of the strong early game the Pantheon had. So I don't know if it was fully worth, but definitely... probably put a smile on his face.
Worth is a perspective, Dagda, I think.
The mental worth is definitely a positive for Mickey. But you're right, because right now what is happening is SewMond got that first kill, as you highlighted. The first blood went over to Mickey. It opened up the dragon for G2 to be able to secure for themselves, and now the Grub's being responded to by Fnatic.
Yeah, in general, though, Mickey's been fantastic for Fnatic, and I think he's definitely looked brilliant after the breakup, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. Feels like he's gone to the gym, he's a bit of a new man, but I love seeing how he works with Razork a lot in these early stages, sorry, in the mid to late game. Haven't seen it too much in the early stages, but especially when they get to post 15 minutes, those two working together have been fantastic in playing towards the sideline after getting pushed with upset in mid, and just playing towards Humanoid, always keeping pressure on the map, and it makes it so difficult to play against Fnatic when they get these leads.
Both supports hovering around the bot side of the map right now. Mickey and Labrov just facing off, trying to control vision in the river. Keeping our eyes on the junglers, you'll notice that SewMond is on the top side of the map securing that crab. Does leave Labrov and Hansama open to a potential gank with Razork hovering around, but I imagine that the priority for Razork is getting that level 6, same for SewMond. Once they get that, both the junglers are going to be unlocked a lot more on the map as we prime ourselves for the next objective spawning in about 3 minutes time. for now, standard laning will be the priority.
But let's come back to why standard laning is important for G2, right? We talked a lot about this Swain. Now that it's a normalized matchup into melee versus ranged, we just talked about how the Ravenous Flock, the buff that's come through in this patch is big. For Broken Blade, it feels like he's going to be able to stack up a little bit more easier. Good little hand as he sends out Death, and not going to even send out the Never Move. Instead, that Flock keeps pushing.
But that's the thing, it's going to keep pushing. The range matchup is great, but it's more about trying to take turret play to get yourself situated into a position where you can just become an absolute beast in the later portions. Unstoppable is nice, but yeah, I don't think Oscarin's going to get much, just trying to interrupt. But as this game goes on, he's going to be very, very difficult to deal with, but I do think you have enough tools on Fnatic's side to take him down. It's just, at the moment, Oscarin's going to struggle a bit as this matchup starts to continue.
I'm excited, however, because as those grubs spawn in a couple of minutes, as just hold, Cap's going to get hair splashed on Mikyx back again. Takes it out on Labrov this time around. As good trade from Caps in the meantime, but Labrov now in his defensive route is caught out by Upset. Mikyx still thinking about going forward. His Ignite not burned in the end as he continues zoning out, and Caps now knows he's in trouble if he stays.
Keep an eye on Razork, though. Can you get him?
Maybe Caps doesn't know. He does indeed. He just ulties, and there you go. Easy execute for Humanoid. Another kill over to Fnatic as we get out our ulti. Okay, it's now to Sovereign Reign for Oscarinin as he sits in and he's all out. Might do a little bit of damage, but there's a Pantheon in the mix to make it unfair. Flash for the Comet Spear, and SewMond is good again.
A combination we saw work to great effect before, and G2 is replicating that success. A nice ultimate coming out from SewMond to join the fight happening in the top lane 2 versus 2 means that Fnatic and G2 find themselves even at kills 9 minutes in.
It does look like Oscarinin hasn't got a lot of experience playing against Swain, though, because he was not winning that, and he was the one that chose to start that one off, so definitely struggle, but bot lane.
And the 2v2 again. I mean,
oh my
this is
God.
where Fnatic thrive, though. It's not just Mikyx with Razork Dagda, it's Mikyx and Upset. Now making G2's Upset bot.
100% kill participation for Mikyx. He wants to show G2 they made a mistake. 2-1-1. Would have liked for that kill to go across to Upset, but still taking Hansam out and getting the play. It must be difficult to be the opposite side of Mikyx's Poppy. Wow. After this. Pippi Longstocking.
30 seconds until the grubs respawn. Mikyx making a beeline towards the mid lane. Labrov has spent a decent amount of time towards the bot side of the map, but crucially, still level 5. He needs a bit more experience to take over to level 6, but it's going to be important with the ensuing fight sure to come. Both junglers, their ultimates currently unavailable. I imagine that they'll look to have them back around the next objective fight. Question is, does G2 even feel strong enough to contest this next grub spawn?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It feels like G2 are investing a lot of time and effort into securing bottom side. So it looks more like maybe they give up void grubs here and instead look to make a play towards the bottom half of the map. But this is kind of the problem with Mel, is she's so good at controlling that mid wave that Caps can't really find a way to get out of lane at the moment. And you see SewMond's making his way up here, but Razork's already started it.
On the cards for 6 grubs here for Fnatic, those Radiant Volleys, as you were just talking about, Mel, Humanoid sends it out, low cooldown as well. With Comet, it just does such good damage, even if you only partially get hit. Using that pressure, Razork now secures 4 grubs, but walks away from the last 2 as SewMond thinks about his angle towards mid.
Tier and Lost Chapter is just such great core itemization for her because it helps manage a lot of the mana problems that she can have in the early game. Only a single grub was secured. Razork not wanting to overstay his welcome, likely because Mikyx chose to go back to base. Fnatic knew that they wouldn't have the numbers advantage, so instead they don't take the risk. Back out onto the map we go.
Well, Caps is going to pop the Between Worlds, so now the ulti's out, the Solar Snare comes in handy, but Caps just autos down, rebuttal, won't do a damn thing. Labrov secures Humanoid, puts him in the dirt, while the remaining grubs go to G2 as well.
Nice bit of revenge there for G2. It's unfortunate for Caps that the kill goes over to Labrov. He would have loved to have gotten that for himself as Broken Blade.
I see a demon, I see a flare, and I see Oscarinin needing to beware. That turret as well about to drop a plate. And Broken Blade continues his ascension in lane.
And because Razork spent time in the mid lane, he now needs to reset to match the Sundered Sky that SewMond had already picked up. So now Dragon Control could potentially be on the cards for G2 as well as SewMond looks to reset. Mikyx stopping Hansama, though, going to make that a little bit more difficult. So nice timing by Mikyx just to be a pain to now make it a little bit more difficult for G2 to set up on the Dragon and allow Fnatic back on the map.
Oh, Hans is sticking for this wave. You can see the supporting crew of G2 immediately making their way towards the bot side of the map, ready for a potential dive. Caps hovering in the river. They haven't actually spotted that the Dragon has been started just yet. The bot push in makes it easier for that one to be kicked off.
SewMond's here as well, and Zenith's Blade compared to the Steadfast Presence cooldown is massive. Stunned up, and SewMond has now found an easy target, but ignited mid-ulti. As it goes to Labrov yet again. Razork's here, he pops his ulti, that's because Oscarin's here to help out as well. SewMond looks for the turn, meanwhile, onto Upset, but he won't find it. A shutdown over to the Corki, while Oscar says the G2 bot lane needs to go away, and I can see an eclipse, but
no way
to execute Labrov.
I can't believe Labrov didn't die off the back of that. Sub 100 HP, but not enough in the tank. And now Razork getting a few taps from Broken Blade here, but still, nice response from Fnatic to get down to that bottom side. Mikyx goes a bit too far, but using the TP advantage on Oscarinin to get something back for themselves.
I really thought Humanoid was going to reach the damage needed to get that execute off, but apparently not. Mikyx, remember that he'd already used his Steadfast Presence earlier to block an engage from Labrov, so he didn't have it available here. Quick thinking with the E to create space between him and SewMond. Unfortunately, Pantheon is quite fast, Mikyx, and he's able to chase him down. Again, this kill goes over to Labrov. Now in a 2 versus 3, Hans basically has no mana left, and when Oscar arrives from the flank, it becomes too difficult. Now the flash into Broken Blade
for the Demonic Ascension, and with a keep in place, Humanoid can't rebut everything. Once again, the never move keeps him down. And SewMond again, it feels like his Pantheon is controlling the game once more.
The damage from this Pantheon is just relentless in the early game, but Mikyx has set his sights on Caps once more. No minion wave though. Caps able to clear that wave out before the dive can come through.
Oscar got him though, against the wall. Caps now presents himself. Great shove, ulti as well. That was cleaner than my kitchen table.
Yeah, and even the interrupt from Fnatic, they'd already started to shift up towards this top side, so they always had the numbers advantage there. It will be in trade for Dragon, but potentially first tower. I'm not sure exactly how much is left in that bot lane tower, but nice response by Fnatic.
I mean, it's just kills across the board right now. G2 finding an effective pick on the bot side of the map. As Fnatic find one on top, we're still 5-5 in kills, gentlemen. It's not been the most action-packed game, but every single blow that one side throws out, the other is quick to respond. Both supports at 2 kills so far in this game. Mikyx with 100% KP on the side of Fnatic.
I think the difference here, though, is the fact that G2 have this kind of pick combo again with Broken Blade and SewMond becomes a little bit more difficult to work on when Oscarinin's on the Cassante. He's much more difficult to lock down, has the Unstoppable, way tankier as well, so I think this pick comp isn't going to work around the solo lane again. I think you have to try and look for plays elsewhere, but into Mikyx, into Humanoid, it can also get a bit difficult. So I'm curious how G2 want to try and play this game out now, because I think you need to start working SewMond and Labrov as this kind of duo into trio play towards Caps if you want to try and make this comp work instead of playing around Broken Blade.
I think as well, if we come back and we kind of look at where Fnatic's succeeding too, and why things need to be a bit more precise from G2, it's the fact that this Corki is 1,200 gold up. Upset once again in a carrying position, and we've talked a lot about Upset in the regular season, and if you are a bit of a playoff Andy, not Andrew Day, but just Andy in general, then you'll know, like, oh yeah, Upset was okay, but how has he been since Fnatic? I can tell you, he's been bloody good. Gentlemen, I think he's the best AD carry in the league right now. I think this is the best bot lane in the league right now. Not just because Fnatic are doing better, but because Upset and Mikyx have just got it.
I think the criticism towards Upset for a very long time is that he's this passive AD carry that plays more towards stats, but I think that this split has been evidence that that is not the case. He has been hyper aggressive. His Kalista performance during the regular season was absolutely insane, and he is playing with a level of aggression that his team is looking to play with. And when you've got Mikyx and Razork on your roster, you've got to be willing to follow up on those engages, and I think it's fair to say that Upset has been consistently doing that.
Going for the engage, they end up getting the stun onto Labrov.
I mean, it's so dangerous for the Corki, isn't it? If you sit in the Gatling gun, you'll get shredded. Labrov now no flash, and bot side river is Fnatic's.
Yeah, and this is kind of where the... Oh, hang on.
He's doing something. Steadfast Presence. He's going to have to ulti here. Zenith's Blade is denied, but Mikyx shoves away. This guy's such a rat.
Yeah, I don't know what he was trying to achieve.
Caps can't get away. He wants to go to the edge now. He's on the left side, but on the wrong side is what I'll say. Fnatic are bringing up support, teleport in, but is there enough damage? You have your answer. Oscarinin with a solo kill.
Caps cut down for the 4th time where he stood. G2 definitely putting a target on his back and finding the success when they want to pick him off. That's going to net Rift Tower for them as well. And look, Mikyx could do some inting on the bottom side, but at least Fnatic are surprisingly getting stuff happening on the other end.
I mean, it's a surprise to see Caps falter in this first game. I think he found himself in a difficult matchup in the laning phase with Mikyx putting a lot of pressure on the mid lane play. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, the Grand Starfall brings us into yet another fight. SewMond thinks about it. Another Comet Spear. W's in, but under turret. Dangerously so with a steadfast presence, but is able to back away.
SewMond has been extremely proactive with these ultimates. We talked about Mikyx's kill participation, but look at SewMond. He's been involved in the team's 5 of the team's 6 kills. The only exception to that being... Actually, I'm not sure what the exception to that was, but either way... Oh, it was the play in mid lane, I remember.
Yes.
But yeah, he's been ever present, and I think at the start of the split, as you rightly said, a bit of warming up required for the new members of G2, but they've definitely found their footing and they're playing with a lot of confidence.
They are indeed.
And I think it's kind of going back towards what is the G2 style, right? I mean, look at the amount of wards. Well, one's about to cleared out by Mikyx. Second ward here to open up for BB on some good flank opportunities. And this is kind of the G2 style. Fnatic, though, overloading on the bottom side, wanting to catch G2 out before Dragon.
Great zoning happening here. I mean, Razork just moves in. He's going to be taking the resources as well. Mikyx zones off Labrov from the top as well. Turret gone, and Fnatic, 4 members make this nice line on the enemy jungle.
It's a great example of coordination there. As you notice, like, the push in from mid, bot, and jungle was all done at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Just great coordination from Fnatic that we've been seeing pretty consistently. The other day, we saw them recalling and syncing with one another much more effectively than we've seen from them in the past. And, like, it might be, for many Fnatic fans, confusing as to why they're getting so much praise and why they're being acknowledged as being such a success. And it's because of this coordination, restraint, and patience that we did not see from Fnatic last year.
And I think it comes back to the upset conversation. He's happy to just sit in mid, farm up, and then go off in team fights off of the CS leads that he has. But it has opened up Mikyx to work with Razork, to start playing in towards these picks, and that has really been the core of the success of Fnatic, is the jungle support, finding these plays on side lanes, diving into the enemy jungle for plays.
And look at the timing, the coordination, but it looks like G2 is looking to answer.
Great solo snare from Humanoid, brings it off as a quick rebuttal, reminds Hansama who's boss. Against the wall, Mikyx does the same and says, see you later, you can't replace me. A double over to upset as well as Broken Blade has jumped on in. His demonic flare has done some work, as now the top laners also get involved on the other end. It's Oscarinin in the all-out, bumping and weaving and dodging. Another solar flare on the right, and another execute from Humanoid to say good night. SewMond will run, but not far enough, and Fnatic are breaking the mold.
Fnatic find the team fight they need to shut G2 back. Now with Rift Curl and Toe going the wrong direction, but finds the right way, they will be able to get mid-turn off the back as well.
A convincing ace from Fnatic wipes G2 off the map, and we'll see our first significant gold lead of the game. 3.3k in the hands of Fnatic, with 2k sitting in the pockets of Upset.
And again, it's coming off the back of Mikyx. The stun comes down on towards Labrov. You get the interrupt from Mikyx, but the flash forward on towards Labrov sets up for Razork, who immediately follows up with the cease and desist on towards Hansama. And from the follow-through, it's just perfect. Mikyx does end up giving his life. Upset, tries to run away from SewMond, but ends up going down. But it doesn't matter. Oscarinin in the all-out has enough damage. Humanoid is able to work down Broken Blade through that heal as well, and it works out perfectly.
I mean, it's easy to forget, but last year, Cassante was Oscar's most played champion. He hasn't been bringing it out this year, but it's been one of his go-to defaults, and you're seeing why. He's having a great playoff so far. He's looking to continue that performance as he works with the front line off Fnatic. They're taking firm control over this game, and G2, they're being pushed further and further back. 3.5k
gold lead just about. G2 are clinging to Dragons, but Fnatic are going to also break that too. Caps right now sitting in a side lane, hoping to equalize this goal a bit, but Arakan is now up. Teleport's going to have to be burned as Fnatic start this off.
Yeah, they want to try and get both of them here. Upset going to finish off the Dragon, waits for the Ezreal ultimate to come through.
Well done.
Nicely done. And now Arakan to boot as well. Caps is reset. I don't know if G2 realized that this has gone down as quickly as they thought.
I mean, they're not in a position to contest. Here comes SewMond, the TP coming through.
It interrupts again. Mikyx's been clean on the poppies. He's just wasting time away from the Arakan. He drew SewMond in, who has the star fall in as Humanoid. It's probably going to be the target. You look at the solar flare, you look at the steal, and now there's a choice. Cap runs in, and G2 have no more fear. I thought it was doomed. I thought SewMond had absolutely nothing, but he took absolutely everything.
They overplayed their hand, and G2 was able to punish. beautiful steal comes through from SewMond, and he turns the fight into their favor. Just like that, the gold's been equalized. 3 members of Fnatic are dead, and there's an Adakan buff to boot.
I cannot believe he got in here. Labrov ends up forcing the flash out from upset, and everyone has to run away, but there's just not enough damage on Fnatic to finish it off. And the fact that you end up yoinking Labrov out as Oscarinin to get away doesn't really matter, because the rest of your team, they're just falling on the opposite side. The CC is there. Humanoid at least gets the withdrawal, but I mean, you can see the relief there.
I mean, we've got an interesting game on our hands, gentlemen. This is, of course, a best of 3, but so far, Fnatic and G2 are delivering. Now G2 have reclaimed all of that control that they've lost. Immediately they move into the enemy jungle. Mikyx's been found.
And supports keep doing this. They keep finding each other, but Mikyx ults away Labrov while now running for his own line, but he'll die. Mikyx was looking to disengage, and they won't let him from G2. Upset moving up to the wave as well. That turret is non-existent. Summer just takes it with his bare hand.
Maybe BB was right. G2 seem to be able to read exactly where Mikyx's going to be at all points in time, and they're catching him out. Now, moving towards his top side. Oscarinin trying to respond to the bot, but how far do G2 want to push this?
Well, 4 grubs are going to be a big difference here. 2 for the side of G2 means things are slower, and Humanoid with the Radiant Volley at least has wave clear. Solar Snare not going to connect on the Caps, but he zones him out, remember, again! As Solar Flare, rather. Zenith Blade from Labrov almost connects. Oscarinin was taking the turret, he did succeed.
Humanoid, remember, he can use the W onto the Zenith Blade. Ooh.
Okay, no one's called out, not unless it might be Mikyx here. Humanoid sets up the rebuttal again. Caps pops the ulti, looks for the solar kill, doesn't find it with the last auto. He withdraws, but Humanoid will have to leave.
That exactly will make G2 as a whole leave. Fnatic, they managed to hold on. The Adakan buff not getting a huge amount of value thus far, so I think you're kind of happy with Fnatic as to how this one's gone. You end up, yes, losing out on the fight after Adakan, but no buff on SewMond. Now you've lost it on Caps, and all these towers still remain standing. So in the grand scheme of things, Fnatic hold on well.
So we've effectively reset the game, because Fnatic found a big win, G2 found a big win of their own, and now in the mid game, you start to ask the questions about scaling. And this is where I think that if you're a Fnatic fan, you have to be a little bit concerned just because of Broken Blade in the top lane. This Drain Tank Swain can be so problematic in the late game because of how much damage he can soak and how much and how effective he can be at neutralizing your carries. The question will be, can Fnatic dish out enough damage to get through this wall and threaten the backline?
Yeah, I think the lack of any sort of Morello or Grievous wounds is definitely hurting a little bit here. I think that needs to be prioritized a little bit coming in on Fnatic side, at least to try and deal with Broken Blade. But at the moment, they seem to be fairly content with, hey, we can run past Broken Blade in a lot of these fights because the engage from Razork has been pretty clean. Oscarinin is still a nuisance in side lanes, and they look to, at least from Fnatic side, be deciding the fights when they can before Broken Blade gets there. So I think it's a bit of push-pull, and if G2 can get Broken Blade, like now, into position as the fights before they kick off.
Slow pacing into the river. Fnatic not fully committing. My eyes set towards top as Caps is there with TP. Solar Flare doesn't connect. Mikyx with the sidestep yet again. Labrov is zoned out as the Solar Snare goes wide. G2 are backed off. They're also zoned out as Fnatic will have the priority in mid.
Yeah, look at where Razork is though, just trying to see if he can sneak his way in. Was kind of, well, happy to find a blue buff, but it feels like more so it's just Fnatic trying to get any sort of vision that they can. You still got a couple of pink wards in that around though, so you have to be a little careful, Fnatic, because you're not as sneaky as you think you are right now.
Mikyx looking for an angle, Labrov again. Mikyx's quite fast. These supports have been the start and even the finisher, and Labrov even shows a great shield flash. Mikyx's down immediately as SewMond, he ultis in. He's looking for a new target. Now it's onto Oscar, but against the wall, against an old turret, he stands. Oscar ultis in AoE though. Broken Blade is demonically ascending. Kept in place is Oscar with no tank stats to speak of. G2 have done it yet again.
Great call from Labrov, just flashes on Mikyx, says I don't care if you can get rid of the Zenith Blade, I'm just going to bop you in the face with the shield. And with that now, G2 get control over the Dragon. Fnatic still trying to contest, but Razork is a long way from here.
Humanoid's going to try at least to poke out every single rebuttal you're waiting for. Presses it, nicely done, but it's not going to stop the Solar Flare. He kites away. Humanoid still zoning through a Solar Snare. That's great as well, but Upset goes over and gets a pick. The power of this mid 80 carry. Get one back for the Costa Dragon.
That may have been a crucial mistake though, because Oscar has TP available and the Baron is up. Reset going to come through from Humanoid, and with a member's disadvantage, G2, they find themselves very soon with a Baron. Look, the pings are coming through. Labrov hasn't had an opportunity to base.
The war begins. A ward in the back of it, not going to see much with control ward in tow.
Caps is TP to topside though. They're trying to look for the flank. G2 want to try and contest this. Great vision control from G2 in the area.
Caps' angle is huge, looking for that ultimate to set the pit alight. Mikyx zones out the back. Fnatic are going to look to take this one with no contest. SewMond stole the last one. Can he do it again? On the back of the pit, SewMond can't set his spear alight. Now has to fight and fight and fight. With a 1-for-1, the pit is done, and we look around red for the crown to begun. Labrov against the wall, Mikyx shoves, and Fnatic have strangleholded and hurt me, Oscar. That hit deep, but at least you still won the fight.
An overstep from G2 has cost them massively. Fnatic were just trying to delay the bases, make things annoying for G2 after they won that fight and went to secure the Dragon. But because of that, they then had a numbers disadvantage coming into this Baron play. Mikyx does a good job of keeping SewMond out of the fight. He finds a way, and it becomes a very scary situation. But Razork, the self-proclaimed King of Smite, secures it for his team. They walk away with the Baron and a few kills as well.
And that Smite, more than likely going to be severely more impactful than the last one. Now with Baron buff, you can really start to siege, although Mikyx taking some good damage from Caps. You don't have the follow-up here though. Razork's still coming out of base. I don't think Fnatic can overchase for this one, but they're just trying to set up on top lane, and the range that you have with Humanoid, a lot of poking go down underneath these turrets, but I think Fnatic a little bit hesitant here, as there's many G2 members here, and Labrov thinking of going over the wall.
I was just waiting for SewMond to ult Jens because he was angling for it at the turret. Now it becomes a defensive game for G2 as it's Broken Blade trying to use his wave clear, but he can't even set up a Vision Empire. That won't clear the cannon minion doing Baron's work.
But this is the thing, you just get to poke with Humanoid, play it safe, start to stack up some of these procs on towards G2. Tower will fall, and there's little that G2 can do. Their wave clear is not great without Caps, but he can't step up to the wave.
SewMond still angling here. What can he find on the wing here? Mikyx is such a problem. That W stops the Pantheon. Aegis stops that engage that has been so good at finding picks.
Fnatic continuing their siege. It's 5 members strong on the top side. That mid wave is just locked in the middle of the lane. There's only a single wave for them to pressure through. G2's wave clear isn't the strongest, but do they feel confident to get close? Oscar test the waters.
Caps still with that ulti. No flash available, but he thinks about doing it as Huntama gets poked on out. Caps again between worlds as he pokes upset. Great jump, but now he's against the wall, and he's about to die. He sets up the between worlds before going through, and now Broken Blade is disengaged. You look at Fnatic, they've taken Labrov over the wall, and they've got an individual member right in front of them. An easy execute for Humanoid, and the disengage from Fnatic was very well needed.
Mikyx got the follow-up on towards Caps, but more importantly, he ulted Broken Blade out, which meant that that Demonic Ascension just ran out. It puttered. And just like that, Fnatic were able to get the fight that they needed under the tower.
We see the engage from Caps doing good damage, but the response from Fnatic was quick. They lock him down. He gets the ultimate off still, but as you rightly said, Dagda, the Demon Bird was knocked away from the fight. Hans does get a pick onto Mikyx, but it still ends up being a double in favor of Fnatic. The good news from G2 is they keep most of their base intact. They only lose that tier 3 tower in the top lane, but Fnatic, they're not slowing down.
Razork's engages have been absolutely insane this game, though. Consistently, he's been the one that's been able to find the targets that he needs to. The target selection has been sublime as well, and it's G2 who are hurting as a result. And now, with Dragon in 45 seconds or just over, again, Fnatic set up on this bottom side. They want to try and keep G2 at bay, continue to poke with Humanoid, and then look for the all-in.
We got delivered a treat once again. You know, we got the Vitality for KC game yesterday, Dagda, and then we brought our good friend Vedius along for the ride for G2 Fnatic, and today already better than fresh oysters on a beach on a 25-degree day. G2 peeling back as this has turned into a sudden ARAM. It's all because of this Dragon that's coming up in 20 seconds that leads to G2's soul, but would lead to Fnatic giving more tanks their frontline access.
There is double TP, but Fnatic feel that they can't get mid control if they don't have all 5 members here. And G2 looking to contest that wave, but it's Fnatic that has primary access into the bot side river. The wave clear's coming through, and you can see again, it's Fnatic with better position. That bot wave is still pushing in their favor.
I love how Razork is playing though, constantly playing for this angle, which is why G2 are in an uncomfortable position, but there's the engage.
Soulflare's there, Caps looked for a flank, he's now caught out. Had to flash immediately. Caps with no summoner is big as Fnatic are in front of the Dragon, they started off.
But it's really difficult for G2 to try and get any sort of window here. Fnatic too far forward though, Caps can get in here.
But he doesn't want Oscarinin, you can see he does not want that Cassante. G2 see him right in the deer in headlights, but Humanoid might be a real target. Never move is good. G2 on the wrong side of the map. The Solar Snare gets Broken Blade. Oscar happy to take it up. He's got Double Mountain after all now, but the flash on in. The engage from Razork. We talked about it. He sets it up. He locks it in against the wall. Mikyx done some CC as well. It's a fight on multiple fronts. G2 have won bot. Mid is winning Fnatic as Oscar has turned into the all-out. Those Natofos hurt like holy hell. Fnatic have won top. G2 have won bot. Everyone disengages.
I don't know if it's over though. Broken Blade can TP back into this one. Hansama does need to reset. How heavy do G2 want to force this? Doesn't look like it's the case, but yes, it was a bit of a brawl, but a very spread out fight that I don't think either team would be fully happy that it went the way it did.
I mean, I think the problem with Fnatic is that their engage was definitely quite scattered. You'll notice that their target becomes trying to lock down Hansama on the backside. And look, Flash comes in, doesn't quite connect the knock-up. The E comes through onto Hansama, then he gets connected into the wall. And then the burst from Humanoid wanted to come through, but then Hans gets dragged over the wall. So there's a bit of a disconnection between the top and mid laners there. They don't quite have the damage. Meanwhile, on the bot side of the map, Upset is getting isolated, and G2's able to actually win out on the kill.
And that was the thing. Razork went so deep, he actually ended up knocking Broken Blade and SewMond into Upset. So Upset didn't really have anywhere to go where he could still be relevant in the fight and be safe. So we ended up basically face-checking into Broken Blade and SewMond, and although it looked a little bit wonky, he did end up drawing both flashes over the wall and prevented them from getting into the rest of the fight. So it may have been a bit strange, but it did work out for Fnatic that he did it.
Yeah, it's turning into a bit of a messy game just because we're seeing mistakes from both sides in terms of their teamfight execution. That one wasn't that significant really on either side. Dragon was, of course, secured for Fnatic. Labrov and Caps.
Caught out. Solarflare locks him down. He tried to make the pinch, but instead he's getting cut himself. Razork ultis in as Caps goes between worlds. Razork slowed down. Caps! Look at the jungler. He jumps back in, but Caps has done the burst. Oscarinin is in his ulti self. Looks for the flip. Flashed away his G2, now spacing. But they have 5. Labrov's health bar, the only indicator that something went well for Fnatic. But did it really?
A phenomenal play from Caps there, utilizing the ultimate to just swap away from Razork. He had the support of Labrov to help keep him alive as well. And they're able to find themselves a pick. Now they have the threat of the Baron that is very real. The reset has come through from Labrov. Are they going to start it off, though? They're hesitant because they know the poke from Humanoid and Upset is still there. But the TP's coming through. Here comes the Baron.
You still got a lot of members of Fnatic though, and that's a lot of damage that can be done. TP coming through, Caps trying to play off towards the side, doesn't have the ultimate available.
But the cooldown is jumping down ever so slightly. Caps has been spotted out, the flank is there. Oscarinin runs into the enemy smite. The Solar Snare is great. Caps burning from the side though, and Fnatic are taking too much damage. A Solar Flare this time. A flash from the True Shot Barrage. Flash from Humanoid. He wanted to snare, but he just looks like an unwanted bear. Fnatic run away, G2 run away. I mean, the Baron stopped there. But it's on the edge each time.
But G2 have to run away like hares. The fact that you have Razork coming back out onto the map now means that you cannot contest this Baron anymore. So it's a lot of flashes burnt on several sides. But at the end of the day, we're back to essentially a stalemate.
The tension only continues to mount. G2 versus Fnatic in this best of 3. I mean, it is delivering. We still have at least another game to go. As a pick was found onto Razork, no Baron was secured. Mikyx providing excellent peel in that last exchange. Dragon now, 1 minute and 20 seconds. These side waves need to be looked at a little bit more from both sides as they're kind of left in this awkward spot.
And it does feel like that has to fall to Caps and Humanoid. Caps has been pretty decent at picking up a lot of the farm in the side lane. Humanoid could start to move bot and try and push out that wave and still have the teleport to get into position, but I think Fnatic just scared that if they spot Humanoid out on the bottom side of the map, the G2 can immediately turn towards the Baron and suddenly that TP's gone. So now push in mid should feel a little bit more comfortable to get people into side lanes. Maybe. How brave are we feeling, Fnatic?
Pretty brave, apparently. They're going to clear vision at least, draw G2 in, but I guess the Baron's not going to start. Not feeling confident enough, especially with SewMond being top.
40 seconds until Dragon as well, so at least getting some vision in towards the Baron pit to see if G2 are going to try and rush it, but third Mountain Dragon for Fnatic would definitely make things a little bit more difficult for G2. A soul on the cards for G2 as well. One steal again could change the difference here.
Broken Blade has gained about 600 HP from his passive.
Yes, you do.
The Drain tank progressively getting stronger. Oh, the engage.
Starfall bopped away immediately. Good ulti from Mickey, but now it's ult for ult. Poke here from G2. Still looking to see what Hans Summer can pull off into Oscarinin. There's good poke in reserve from Humanoid as well. His Radiant Volleys now hurt like hell as G2 go up towards Baron. But remember, Soul is there, or at least third Dragon for Fnatic. It will be a trade. But can G2 do this fast enough, gents?
It's a good question. Oscarinin walks into Labrov, though.
Walks into a Solar Flare. He's unstoppable for now, but how much more stuns are there to go? G2 is a 5-man stack with the Demonic Ascension up. Broken Blade happily walks in. He flares once, looking for now another as he slowly stacks up. Labrov gets a good engage. Fnatic are running away, but G2 are winning this play. Humanoid, he decides to eclipse the sun, but it was too bright for Fnatic. They're getting blasted, reamed, torn apart by Hans Summer. G2 are low, but Fnatic are dead for 50 seconds with their jungle mid.
I mean, that should be an easy Baron for G2. There's only Upset really left to contest the Baron. They're going to be forced to concede it. They do deny the soul from G2, but Oscar face-checking into Labrov. He might be tanky, but he's not invincible. And the slow, drawn-out retreat from Oscar made it possible for G2 to chip away at his HP bar, and the front line was no more for Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, the Rylai's Crystal Scepter from Broken Blade, the slows from Caps, he was never going to be able to escape, and that face check was a bit of a disaster. It means that you can see G2 immediately turn off, and Upset at this whole time is just trying to finish off that Mountain Dragon, which is why Fnatic are never over-committing here, but Broken Blade smart to flash forward again. The Rylai's Crystal Scepter making sure that once Fnatic are caught, they are stuck. A Humanoid isolated on the side tries to do what he can, but it's just not enough. Fnatic are dropping like flies in front of G2.
That ulti does a lot of damage, but you didn't have that many stacks available, I don't think. Those Solar Snares are great, but when they don't land, I mean, Caps, surprisingly, is more of a beast. This Aurora one-shots pretty much anyone, outside of Oscarinin, of course.
I mean, Caps may have had a rough early game, but oh, nice steal there from Broken Blade. Yeah. Exactly, Caps is still Caps. You can't afford to underestimate him. If he's got items, he's going to look to make plays. He's dishing out some serious damage.
We're also just 40 minutes into the game, so the early deficit doesn't really matter as much when he's he's basically, or well, one item away from full build. Like, you've caught up with Humanoid. It doesn't matter. You're going to hurt this stage.
I think a lot of people at home will be like, yeah, but did you see Humanoid's damage? He's done 44k. He has indeed. He's done a lot of damage in this game. When it lands, it's still very impactful, but even though you're watching Caps here against Oscarinin, ignore that for now.
Not doing any damage here, but
look at the threat. Multiple lanes, guys. I mean, G2 are playing with this Baron, and Fnatic have to pick a side.
TP net for Broken Blade. They want to try and force this.
Is Caps in trouble, actually? All out used. Ulti going to be used. He goes back in. He takes it a second time. He's golden, but Oscar has a flip of the wrist as Caps is running for his life. I mean, Oscar chasing. Upset as well. Valkyrie smash in the face. Caps is dead. And we just highlighted this guy, but that's a big mistake.
I don't know if it is, though, because yes, you get the pick, but they've stopped Upset. They wanted the kill.
Not the spear triumphs yet again. SewMond sent away. His Comet, no. The Eye, no. A rocket after that as SewMond is trying to tank it out. He is still a beefy boy, but Oscarinin is slowly chasing. G2 are giving back up. Solar Flare in a choke. Maybe it's turning for G2, even with a flip back. A Demonic Ascension again. This one comes from Satan himself. No rebuttal for you. Instead, I have a counterpoint, and that's G2 winning game one.
That's what I was going to say. You end up with Fnatic over-committing towards that bottom side of the map with Upset. So, yes, Upset gets away, but Fnatic try to save him. They've lost top tower. They've lost the tier 2 mid. They've lost the tier 2 bot now as well. And just like that, G2 fully in control. And a minute and a half until Dragon, they can just keep waves shoved in and make this game now impossible for Fnatic to contest.
I mean, I was ready to criticize G2 for them overcommitting. I feel like they should have just been fine with Caps dying and then just look to reset on the map. But they turned it into a great teamfight win, which should now open up the base. They're going to break this tower down. Fnatic don't have the members to defend. Caps TP's back in, and they'll be happy with an inhibitor.
And we're starting to see G2 run into these fights, guys. But Broken Blade takes a lot for him to die now. SewMond the same, back almost cancelled there. It's only Caps, Hans, Summer, the squishiest members right now. The front line of G2 doing work for them as 50 seconds till that Dragon. We count it down. It's sold for either team. Well, I did get excited. I said G2, it feels like they've got this game in the bag. That's an utter lie, isn't it? This Dragon will decide who's got this in the bag, surely, because we're 42 minutes deep, and this has been like Barney Rubble, you know, as a kid. 5 years old, you're sitting there, you're watching this big purple dinosaur, you don't know what's going on, but you love every moment.
Look at Caps, keep your eyes
Barney
on
Rumble
Caps.
is Flintstones.
Okay, Dagda, move on, it's not important.
Okay.
Caps is fishing for upset. He's found him on the wards. He's managed to circumvent. Observers, can we see what Fnatic sees? Because they've got clear vision on Caps right now. He's going to catch the mid wave. They feel like that they have control over the river. They're going to... Labrov.
He face checks on a blast cone. He is waiting, willing. Solar Snare not connecting.
I mean, Caps isn't there.
Wants it, as you said. Caps is going to come in slow, so they're going to take the 4v5. Fnatic might have this fight. Broken Blade goes into the ulti, but he's dead before he can do anything about it. Labrov gets denied by Mikyx. As you can see, Hans Summer is firing and firing and firing away. Razork has to get on him, get in the way, but this Ezreal is unleashed. And you might say, yes, Hysterics, but Fnatic are winning fight. But watch Hans Summer. Ian again. Auto attack. Q. Mystic shot. Hans, it's your mama. Fnatic are running down. Upset's got no health left. Caps might miss, but not for long. Ezreal, I think, is a little bit strong right now, as Humanoid is the only remnant left alive. And G2, as they chase and chase and chase, the damage is imminent. The flush away from Humanoid is evident, and Caps is going to get in his face. A rebuttal, a mystic shot again. Hans Summer will take him out for the ace.
In a 4 versus 5, where Caps cannot be there, it's Hans Summer who steps up to the plate and may have just hit the home run for G2.
Excellent positioning from Hans, consistently dishing out damage onto the Fnatic front line. The fact that they weren't able to lock him down was crucial to the success of this fight. And again, Fnatic realize that this is a 4v5. Caps is too far away to join. So they commit. They try to get rid of Broken Blade as quickly as they can. But look at Hans on the back line. Completely untouched. Hitting as many Qs as he can. Good damage on the Razork, on the Mikyx as well. Oscar, then the next target. Hans, he then gets locked down by Razork, but he doesn't care. The fact that he was able to turn this fight around was crazy.
Mikyx's ult doesn't hit Hans Summer. Razork's jump over the wall does not hit Hans Summer, and he is free to do as he pleases in that fight. And now G2, they please the Baron. But Fnatic aren't too.
A cheeky Hex Splash, Solar Flare onto Mikyx as well. He's going to be never moved, and Broken Blade gets free access now as well. Mikyx's dead in an instant. That Poppy ain't tanky at all.
I think
and
he's
the Hex Blade to follow Oscarinin, you're right. A Shield of Daybreak spells night for Oscar. A double kill already as Hans Summer is lining him up to spike him down. SewMond will not get off Upset's head, and Hans either takes this or SewMond will. In the end, Broken Blade gets a cheeky cheek in there. The G2 have now killed 3 with big death timers. This is where it feels like the book will close.
Chaotic fights back and forth. Over 50 kills. This is G2 versus Fnatic, and it is G2 looking to take round 1.
G2, it was hard fought, but they find the picks, they find the team fights, and there's just nothing that Fnatic can do to stop them.
The play was fun, it was scrappy, but G2 take game 1 in this best of 3. One step closer to the BO5s and to yet another final.
Crazy back and forth. It felt like Fnatic had it after the first ace, but then we just saw fight swing after swing, objective after objective. But in the final moments, it was G2 that clutched up. It was Hans Summer that clutched it up. And G2 were able to find a big win.
G2 are running off the stage. Must feel really good after that first game. As we're going to have a short break and return, hopefully to see our game 2 be as competitive as that.
doesn't like that. Look at him, he's a good boy, but he don't like that.
Maybe we could play some A rounds or something like that. I mean, this is map, right? New towers, new objectives.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat. Red Bull gives you wings.